You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
This week, it's Brandon van Rensburg and Mark Blake of Spudbuds.
Guys, a massive thanks for coming on the show today.
Cheers, thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us, yeah.
So, before we find out how it all started, we'd like to know what your go-to orders would be if you were to pick your lunchtime favourite. So, would it be a baked tatty or some tempura?
For me, I've got to go tempura. Yeah, I'll choose tempura over baked potato.
So, on to tempura. What's your favourite tempura mix?
We do an amazing fillet steak special. That's the one. We don't do it very often because it's quite expensive to buy and quite expensive to sell. But yeah, can't beat a tempura fillet steak. It's much, much softer and tender than people seem to think, even though it's deep fried.
I'm probably going to go with the crowd here. The naughty fries, salt and chilli chicken, Chinese style curry sauce. Can't go wrong.
And lastly, the brand new Spudbuds. What's your go-to topping?
I've got to go classic. Can't beat a cheese and beans, crispy onions, bit of hot honey maybe, if you just want a bit of spice. But yeah, just the old-time favourite, cheese and beans. Perfect.
Yeah, I would go baked potato, garlic butter, cheese, Cajun chicken mayo, Thai spice beans, drizzle of hot honey, wee drizzle of sriracha, top that off with some crispy onions.
And a forklift.
Let's get it out the shop.
We've heard about the guys' go-to orders, but we're going to find out a lot about the story of both Spudbuds and tempura next.
You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
This week, it's Brandon van Rensburg and Mark Blake of Spudbuds.
Now we're hearing how it all began. So guys, where did you grow up?
I'm South African originally. Moved here 20 years ago.
Prestwick for me.
Yes, nice and local.
Nice and local.
And where did you both meet? Because I'm guessing there's a bit of a difference between kind of South Africa and Prestwick.
Yeah, so we both actually work for Buzzworks, a fantastic local hospitality chain in Ayrshire. We both worked for them for almost 10 years, there or thereabouts. So I was the general manager of Elliot's in Prestwick for many years. And there was this young glass collector who used to run about with a red shirt on and just do all the dirty jobs that needed done, and that was Mark over here.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed. So we actually worked together probably about 10, well, if we include 15 years ago. In Elliot. So that's how we met, and unfortunately for me, we got along quite well, and that's where we met.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
You're right.
Unfortunately.
Originally from South Africa, what made you come to the UK and
so
Scotland?
I came on a gap year from South Africa. So I finished school, came over. A lot of South Africans come to the UK, and I went to London. I had a cousin in London, myself and my best friend from South Africa, and we struggled to get a job in London. No experience, bad time of the year, the usual. And we were just about to head back to South Africa, actually. And we were out at a pub one night and we met a group of people that had lived on working job on Loch Lomond. And I mean, I think the only thing I knew about Scotland then was probably Braveheart and maybe bagpipes. That was about it.
And stereotypical.
And haggis.
I didn't even know what haggis was, definitely not. So they were like, this is what you need to do. Go up to Scotland, they'll go work in a hotel, they'll give you your accommodation, your food, that's what you kind of need to do. So I had an interview over the phone that night, and I was on a bus the next morning up to Scotland, and when I arrived at Queen Street or Central, I can't remember what it was, I had £4. That's all I had. I had £4 in my pocket. And I got picked up and taken to a hotel.
How long ago was that?
I was going to say, if that's all you had at Queen Street, you wouldn't even get a train from Queen Street down to
struggling these days, aren't you?
And that's how I ended up in Scotland, and that was 20 years ago. So
what inspired you to go from employee from Buzzworks and take the jump to opening your first restaurant?
So my last position that I had in Buzzworks was kind of like head of openings. So I would open all the new Buzzworks venues. I would go over for maybe a month or two with an opening team of existing staff, train up the new staff, help just with the sort of opening. Colin Blair was my direct line manager at the time, and I mean I learned a humongous amount from him. And I suppose I got to the point where I was like, I've opened all these places now, and I've always wanted my own place, and because of what I learned at Buzzworks, I was like, I think I can do this. And COVID played a massive, massive part, because obviously when COVID happened, we were all furloughed, as you know, and had a lot of time. I didn't really have time before to think, can I do this? Because I worked all the time. We sometimes work in hospitality, as people in hospitality know. Sometimes you're doing 50, 60, 70 hours a week. So there's very little time to do anything else. And obviously I had all this time in my hands now, and I was like, I think I could probably do this. So that's where the sort of idea started brewing.
an amazing story to what you've built today, kind of going from there, but also the experience that you've gained in employment and the fact that you were involved with opening probably took a lot of the kind of scary factors away, that you were able to see, well, this is the process of opening the door and getting from the concept to actually delivering it.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a massive advantage, I would say, because I had opened these Buzzworks venue and I believe learned from the best people opening businesses. So yeah, I wasn't going in blind. I had an idea of what I needed. And also to mention, like, Buzzworks helped us massively. I mean, we did it on a very small budget when we opened, and the first tables and chairs we got from them, and we had to pay them later. And Colin was a massive help. You know, he kind of really helped us out at the start so we could develop the business. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I kind of knew what was needed from the start.
So we've got yourself, Brandon, but also Mark. At what point did you join in with the business?
Yeah, that's kind of a funny one, actually, because it was never really my intention to ever open a business or get involved in that sort of thing. But at the time, so when Brandon had then moved on to kind of being an openings manager, there was little old me still glass collecting, still grinding it out at Elliot's nightclub, you know. And then I had worked my way up to kind of assistant management. I was back and forth doing different things, and I felt like at the time, probably still really don't know what I'm doing or what I want to do, you know, that kind of thing. So I was back and forth doing a bit of travelling and things like that. Been doing some ski instructing and stuff, came back, and then again through COVID, it was actually quite a kind of chance encounter, maybe, as a lot of these things are. You know, maybe you could call it fate. Brandon thinks he's going to win the Euro Millions this week. Who knows? You know, it was a bit of a chance encounter through Buzzworks. Again, we were doing kind of charitable work in Dundonald, was
During
it?
lockdown,
We were kind of helping make up meals for the poor and things like that in Dundonald. And just literally one afternoon, I had said to Brandon, you know, are you ever going to go and do your own thing? Because I'm sure we'd maybe spoken about it
Just over the years.
you know, I had maybe said to him, you should go and do your own thing, and he's like, God, Mark, I would never do it if I couldn't get you on board, though, because the place would just crumble. And it just happened to be, so at that time, I had been actually saving to go on a trip out to New Zealand. We had the visas all sorted. We had the flights all booked. We were going.
Can you hear how sad he is in his voice?
I know, it's time yet.
Have you managed to get to New Zealand?
Oh, never been.
Oh, no.
Anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Rightly so. So we were, myself and the dragon, Amy, we were away to... That's my good lady, if you're listening, Amy. No, we were out to New Zealand. We were away travelling, sorted, you know, flights booked, visa sorted. We're away in April. I'd moved out the flat I was living in Ayr, moved in with the good lady's family, literally, like, I mean, I'm talking like 3 weeks before we were away, and then COVID. And then at some point down the line, I think I kind of quickly came to realise that this wasn't a temporary thing, this whole COVID malarkey. So I'd had this week in a saving spot to go out and do this travelling. I'd got chatting to Brandon. He was begging me, here's my idea, please, please, please. And then that was kind of how it took shape. Initially, actually, if you recall, it was only I don't want to give him any ideas here, but it was actually only a 1 year plan. For me, for my involvement.
I wish I'd got you to sign that, man.
I never signed anything. Never signed a thing. I hold on to that to this day.
I actually remember we were sitting in the outside sort of beer garden in the area of Elliot's, one night.
Yeah.
And you followed me to the toilet, if I remember correctly.
I was drunk. He took advantage of me. I was drunk. I never signed up for this.
And I remember going into the bathroom, and Mark came in behind me, and he said, see that idea that you're coming up with? Any chance you would want somebody to be involved with you?
Yeah.
Glass collection.
It's a glass collecting business.
I actually remember saying, no, I don't think so. Like, I'm doing this myself. I definitely don't need anyone. And see, to be honest, obviously when I thought about it,
don't say it.
I'm going to say it, Mark. I'm going to say it live. I'm going to say it because I do say it every now and again, and now the whole of Ayrshire can know it.
No, don't say it.
It was one of the best decisions I ever made to get Mark on board, because we definitely
slapped his inner thigh there, folks.
We definitely wouldn't be where we are right now.
There you go. Write that down, folks.
I was going to say things are really heating up in here.
Get your dictaphones out, folks. Dictaphones. So no, that was how it then kind of took shape. Was just from that was I then actually I think at first, maybe like you're saying, it was just a wee impromptu spur of the moment. I've had a few lagers. Brandon's trying to coax me into some pyramid scheme or something, glass collecting pyramid scheme. And then I think more and more, I was probably more coming round to the idea when, again, all kind of COVID related, when I realised I'm not just going to sit and wait to go out and do this thing, and I don't really know where I'm at. So, as I say, it was 1 year. Get involved, see where we're at in a year's time, and if COVID, I suppose, at that point had calmed down, the plan for me was to then boost away, and it kind of just grew arms and legs from there. So it was quite organic.
And you know, it's something that you look at the time of COVID now, obviously absolutely horrendous in terms of the overall arching of what COVID was, but in a business sense, COVID caused a lot of disruption, a lot of issues across the globe, but there will have been a lot of stories of people all across the world that have had that time, because I think time's something that you really do take for granted. And I mean, every one of us in this room are all probably running around 100 miles per hour all the time, but having that time when from going there and opening venues constantly, you on a Friday, Saturday night in Elliot's and collecting glasses,
sweating,
just going mental with that, but to then have nothing, and it's giving you that time to go. So You've spoke a lot about an idea, but the concept of tempura, what drove that? Because I think you're kind of probably one of the households in terms of, you could get tempura at restaurants, but tempura as a specific restaurant and a brand, how did that happen?
So again, obviously the restaurants that we were involved with all had tempura on the menu, and as you mentioned, most restaurants in Ayrshire have tempura on the menu. A very, very popular dish in Ayrshire, particularly, by the way. As soon as you get out to like sort of Glasgow, Edinburgh, people aren't even really sure what the kind of food is. You've got to kind of explain it to them. But we obviously, from working in Buzzworks so long, we knew how much people, whether it was staff meals, main courses, takeaway, kids, people just went wild for tempura. So the idea popped into my head. I was like, what about opening a restaurant that just sells tempura, and just call it tempura? I mean, literally, everyone said, you're mental, it'll never work, don't be crazy. I had a very good job with Buzzworks, and they were like, no chance, it's got, what can you actually do with tempura? But of course, we have proved, and I knew at the time, there's a humongous amount of different tempura you can do, and different flavors and different, concoctions and etc. So I just believed in it. I did, and I was like, people in Ayrshire love it's deep fried food, isn't it? You know what I mean? Just a very good quality deep fried food, and you've only got to look at the other big chains that sell deep fried chicken, and they've been around for a very, very long time. So we were just the new version of that.
So is it given a classier yet still takeaway-esque vibe where you can get something at a decent price point, but you're able to have that nice sitting experience, or indeed
spot on. Like, we are not the cheapest takeaway in the world, and we don't try to be. What we do is we feel like our price point is exactly where we need to be. Our food is fresh all the time. Nothing is frozen. Everything is cooked fresh to order. There's not like chicken sitting in a hot holding or anything like that. When you walk into a tempura venue and you order, the food is cooked there and then for you. So I think we there was a place in the market for that. You obviously have your cheaper takeaways and you have your more expensive takeaways, and I think where we landed was just exactly where we wanted to be.
With an amazing atmosphere and service to bolster that. So it's like filthy comfort food with the amazing service and kind of banter and chit chat that you maybe round at your mate's house having a bite to eat,
Do you think that's where the kind of working in the Buzzworks vibe concept had brought that in? So you had your idea, your concept, which is completely different from anything they've got, except you wanted that nice atmosphere, the place you walk into, the kind of customer experience from the moment you get seen at the door and right through till you walk out.
100%. And again, coming back to the Buzzworks thing, so we were trained and we knew, like when you walk into a restaurant, there's so many other things that you've got to consider. It's not just the food that you're getting, it's the music, the volume of the music, the beats per minute of the music, the temperature of the room, the whole atmosphere, the lighting. Is the lighting dim? Is it bright at the time of day? There's so many things to think about to create that atmosphere. Obviously, fundamentally, the food needs to be really, really good, and the quality and needs to be what you want it to be. But then you add in all the rest of these things, and it just creates a really great experience.
Fantastic. Now, we've found out about the early days, but we're going to talk about the big wins and biggest lessons just after this.
Now streaming
Ayrshire Insights hosted by Elliot Boyce.
This is Now Ayrshire Radio.
So we've heard about the early days. Now let's talk about the business journey. So throughout time, there must have been some difficult days. What would you say are kind of hardest moments been?
Just off the top of my head there, I think definitely one of the hardest moments was very, very early on in the journey. I think we opened Tempura Air Restaurant on the 16th of November 2020, and then just harking back to the kind of COVID chat we were talking about earlier on. I mean, we had 5 days under our belt. Limited time as well, if I recall. It was only open till early, late afternoon. Maybe it was at 6 p.m. Maybe we could only open till. And then come Friday the 20th of November, that was it. We were into
lockdown.
I think it was a circuit breaker initially, 20th of November to kind of middle of December, where all of a sudden we've just taken the plunge, just gone for it.
Yeah, because we opened just when we thought things were getting better, and then 5 days after opening, we went back into full lockdown again.
Yeah, and immediately we were just faced with, well, what are we doing now for 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, so
it's very, very difficult time period for just about anyone, but to open a new business, going back to the early days now, obviously cash is something that's vitally important in order to get a business started, and then obviously you can start reaping the rewards from that and trying to grow it. How did you cope with the kind of initial investment to then the fact you're starting to see some sort of revenue coming in the door when you initially opened, to that then stopping?
So basically we had no COVID help, no government help, and the reason why that, because obviously loads of businesses got lots of support. We opened our business after COVID had started, so we weren't entitled to anything, but we accepted that. We were like, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do it. We opened the venue on a shoestring budget, just with the bit of money that we got, the two of us could raise. Did 99% of the work ourselves. Well, say did the work. I did all the work. Mark made the coffee and held the ladder. That was
you collected the glasses.
I didn't hold the ladder very well. You took a tumble off the ladder.
I took a big tumble off the ladder while you were sitting eating a cheese and onion pasty, just looking at me. So as Mark said, 5 days in, we went back into, like, no one could come into restaurants again. And we were like, we need a takeaway. And that was the decision. We were like, we can stay open, because you were still allowed to obviously operate as a takeaway. So we just flipped it, and we were like, is this even going to work? And I'll tell you what, it just went mental.
Banana. We talk about the difficulties. I'm guessing that must be one of your first big wins then.
Absolutely, because what we did then is we were like, okay, we closed again, so we can do takeaway. Still, it was back, if you remember, like, you couldn't even walk into the premises. We had to put a table across the front door, and you had to, like, come and stand one customer at a time. I don't think we were allowed to pass people their bags. The bag had to be sitting at the table. So the demand was just so massive. We didn't have any online ordering or anything back then, because we weren't planning on being a takeaway. So you used to be able to phone from like 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, to book a slot in the office. So we did a slot every 10 or 15 minutes back then, I think. And genuinely, the entire day was booked out in the first hour, I would say.
Well, I'd been on the phone for hours on the phone, like, it was crazy. And the thing was, it was like, so while I'm on the phone, how many other 100 people are trying to phone at the same time? Because people used to, like, send photos of their phone login. There's like 400 phone calls they'd made, and people would just sit and redial, out taking the dogs walk, redial, waiting to get this.
Because there was only one line, so if you phoned, obviously, and Mark was on the phone, it was just engaged. It wasn't like hold or anything. It was just a old school phone line. And people just phoned and phoned and phoned and phoned. Funny enough, I do remember, just from a music point of view, and I always tell people this story, because that's where our social media started to kind of take off at that point. Because I like to class myself as a very bad DJ, known as DJ Africa, if anyone wanted to know. More like playing 2 iPads from Spotify at the same time and just mixing between the two of them, to be honest. But anyway,
that's what DJs do.
I can't comment. I'm DJing tonight.
I had some old decks and stuff. So what we did, I used to cook the food and be on the pass. Mark was obviously front of house. It was just the two of us with Mark's Dragon Amy. And
that's 2 you said it, by the way.
We'll talk about the Dragon Rachel later. And what we used to do is, so we would, if you Elliot would phone up, say you'd phone up and you'd be like, can I get my food at 1 o'clock? And Mark's like, cool, what you ordering, put it to the till, take your number, and then we'd be like, just arrive outside 5 minutes early, we'll phone you when your food's ready. And then you would obviously come up to the door, because it was only allowed to be one person at a time. So what we used to do is, when he phoned you to tell your food ready, to be like, what's your favourite song? So what we would do, I would then load it on the decks, and then as the door opened for you to pick up your food, we had the smoke machine going with the song playing.
What a great concept.
Honestly, and people just used to think, they were like, these guys are just mental, man.
Yeah.
But it was just fun, and it was so, we just really, really enjoyed it. And that's kind of what we carried on with, just doing things like that.
That's brilliant. And do you know, you look at everything, I mean, even when we've been launching the radio station we're all looking at silly ideas and things just to get it out there for something, a time that was really challenging for people. For them to come away, they're walking up themselves, they're probably the people sitting not even in the car with them, in their house with them, and they're like, that's some great experience, man. Just went up to get a bit of tempura, I felt like I just walked into a nightclub on a Saturday night.
We realised they sent somebody else in for it. And somebody's walking in, don't you worry, child, heaven's got a tempura for you. It's moving their song.
Yeah, but it was, I think it definitely left, it was memorable for people, and they were like, oh, that was pretty different. Where do you get that experience? So we had a lot of fun with it.
So that's an amazing start to what has become such a successful journey. Now, going through that period from where you were then to the point where it was you had flipped and you had literally you answering phones and a table at the front, smoke machines blaring just to give you some sort of creativity, give it a loudy, to now where you've got, so the journey in that, so you've now got what, 5 different tempura shops alone?
Yeah, so what obviously we then started doing takeaway in the restaurant, which was great. And then when the sort of restrictions eased and we went back to sit-in, we were like, okay, well, that's the takeaway going to be gone now because we're going back to sit-in restaurant, so we don't need a takeaway anymore. And literally, we opened back up for sit-in. Now, it's a very, very, our first place, if anyone knows in there, it's tiny. That's 9 tables, holds 30 people, very small kitchen. So obviously people were then sitting, but people just kept coming in for takeaways, and we just couldn't do the 2 of them because the kitchen's too small. So we were like, this demand is massive. It's as big or bigger than the sit-in. So we were like, we need to get a takeaway.
And just to comment on that as well, I feel like I'd maybe be speaking to the masses here as well. There was definitely still a lot of ambiguity in the air. If I'm right in saying it was like 27th, 28th of April of 2021.
You're very good at dates, Mark.
Thanks so much. Went on plenty of them. So what happened was 27th, 28th of April, we're back open, but it felt like the first 3 weeks, nobody really, was it still a bit, can we go in?
A lot of people just didn't know. It was just so confusing.
Do you remember a lot of places were trying to do deals to get people in the door, but then other people were like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because we shouldn't be coming in the door.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
yeah.
It's all a bit up in the air. And so that was when then, as you say, the takeaway started going mental, but then the biggest challenge we had at that point was trying to do both and have this crossover. So imagine now it's a few weeks down the line, we've got a full restaurant, and what we found was unless you outright told someone no, and we don't want to disappoint, you need
You're always
there's
disappointed.
jokes to be made there, but anyway, you don't want to disappoint, so you never want to say no, but I'm not kidding, you would say to someone at 5 p.m, is it for a takeaway just for the 2 of you for a couple of filthy fries, and you'd be like, listen, it's going to be 3 hours, we're absolutely swamped, and they'd be like, okay. And you're like, oh no. And then you're trying to you've got a full restaurant.
I can do it at midnight tonight.
Yeah.
Because you used to say 3 hours because you didn't want to say no, but by saying 3 hours you were hoping they were going to say, okay, thanks, we'll come back tomorrow. But they were like, yeah, we'll just go sit in our car. So people, and then obviously you were like, okay, we need to stop saying 3 hours to people because they're happy to wait. I think people are just happy to get out of the house, back out of the house probably. At this point. So we were like, we need a takeaway. And we started looking, and luckily, just again by coincidence or by chance, the shop 2 doors down from the restaurant, so there's us, there's Sports Direct, and then there was another shop where Tempura to go in the areas now was available. So contacted the agent there, and we were like, this is perfect for us.
Did the woman not contact us? It was
I think she had messaged us. It was. So we managed to get that quite quickly, and what that also did was it really helped the restaurant. So we didn't have a staff from anything in the restaurant. This is our first business. It's tiny. We doing it all ourselves. The staff used to go sit in the car if they wanted a break.
Going to Sports Direct next door to the toilet.
Honestly, it was tiny, so tiny.
There's
so
lots
all
of tempura staff hanging about the sports aisles.
So we managed to get there, and obviously in there we were able to put in a staff room, just a much better staff area. We were able to put in the takeaway. A lot of the prep from the restaurant was able to be done there. So it just really, the 2 venues together just worked so well. And they kind of operate as one, to be honest, as a restaurant and a takeaway. And then the takeaway business just flew. Obviously, at this point, we kind of know what we're doing. We go in, we open in more slots because it's all pre-booked. We don't do any deliveries. We're not on Just Eat or anything like that. You come and you order your food and you come and collect it. And it's worked very, very well for us. And we got to the point where we could do 4 checks every 10 minutes. And that's what we do now. So we take 4 orders every 10 minutes. And still on the weekends, every slot's booked out, from quite early on.
Yep.
An unbelievable journey to opening your seconds. That's you then got your first restaurant and you've got your first to-go. How did it grow from there?
So then day one we had 3 staff, myself, Mark and Mark's lovely
Good
partner,
lady.
Amy.
Beautiful Amy.
Lovely Amy. And we were like, well, we're pretty good at this, you know what I mean? And we've done it for, was it a year or a couple of years at that point? Yeah. Place became available in Kilmarnock. We were like, the takeaway is quite a bit easier than the restaurant side. Same food, but obviously people are coming and they're collecting the food and that's it. And we can do more, you know what I mean? You can do more in a takeaway than you can in a restaurant, depending on the size of the restaurant, obviously. So we found a property in Kilmarnock. We went in there, again, did most of the work ourselves. That was Kilmarnock to go.
Is that you again?
That was me again, yes. Yeah.
I was holding 4 glass collecting down in there.
Yeah, doing what you do, not much. And so Kilmarnock opened, and again, very successful, went really, really well. And then we found a place in Prestwick, and we opened the Prestwick venue, and that was really, really good. And at this point, we were like, we should probably open another restaurant.
Yeah.
And that's how Troon came about. So Tempura and Troon, which is our only venue that we actually do both from. So we've got Tempura Troon, the restaurant, and Tempura to go. But it's our biggest place. The kitchen's bigger, not massive, but bigger, and we're able to do both, which is probably the perfect venue for us because we can do the 2. So that's how Tempura. We actually also took over the Electric Bakery in Prestwick, which is just getting finished at the moment. So that's a centralised kitchen, and we're going to start doing a lot of prep from that as a central kitchen, and then sort of deliver it back to our own venues to make sure that the quality and consistency is perfect.
So as if there wasn't enough going on, and you've probably run out of being able to get Tempura, you've had so much experience in growing a Tempura restaurant. What happened and how did you go from Tempura to baked tatties?
Well, so I mean, people often say to me now, like, you copied Spudman and Spud Bros. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. So obviously we have quite a decent social media following on the Tempura page, and I follow Spudman and Spud Bros, and I'm like, this is really, really cool. And they're so viral. You see them all over the place: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. And I just didn't think anyone had sort of done a viral potato shop in Scotland. There's a couple of really good potato shops, a particular one in Edinburgh called Tempting Tatty. Been there years, looks absolutely amazing. We must go there sometime and try it actually. But their socials probably weren't add that to your review list. Their socials, I don't know if they were as big on social media, so I was like, nobody's really done the viral potato thing. So again, started looking for a shop, and we had actually looked at this place before we had been offered it, and it became available again, and it's literally 100 meters from the Tempura restaurant. And I walked in, I was like, this is the perfect setup and layout for a baked potato shop. And I think that based on our previous experience and what we've been able to achieve, I just believed that it would be a winner.
So going from March this year to when you opened to date, what's been the experience with Spudbuds? Has it been the rip-roaring success that you want it to be?
I dream. I have nightmares about potatoes that they're not ready in time. That place is mental. It is actually mental.
Yeah.
Particularly the first. I would genuinely go on and say, if that first 8 to 10 weeks was not sustainable. Like, it was not sustainable to be that busy with it. It was just mental.
What's the most potatoes you've gone through in a day?
Was it 1,000? Yeah, just over 1,000, and we did a couple of Saturdays. We did just over 1,000, but like we could have done more. But like that was our limit. We were like, we can't. Like, believe it or not, because like you would get all these people online saying, just cook more potatoes. It's not that easy. Like, the potatoes aren't the problem, it's the fillings. Like, potatoes are easy to cook. You can just keep popping them in the oven, but we're making all the curries fresh and all the toppings fresh. Like, there's only so much you can cook in a day.
I'd also like to touch on staff well-being.
Yeah.
Like as Brandon's saying there, you know, we could also open earlier and close later, but there's only so much you can ask of everyone. Everyone's burst. We're all knackered. You would get in there. 6 in the morning to get prepped and get ready for the day ahead of you. Make sure you've got enough potatoes, make sure you've got enough fillings. And I'm not kidding, from about 8:30, 9 in the morning, the queue is progressing now.
To open at 11:30.
To open at 11:30. So there's people waiting 2-3 hours before we open to stand there. And the first, I'd say, 8 to 10 weeks, every single day, not just weekends, every single day, when you open the door at 11:30, the queue doesn't finish until you close the door at 8 p.m. I always remember that day that, bless him, Mark R popped to the bathroom and I was in front myself. And within about 3 minutes, I was like, "Oh, somebody get him out of that bloody toilet." But you think you can go and do the toilet? I get pumped out of myself. Anyway, that was mental.
Yeah.
It's an amazing concept, and the fact that it's queued. So even still now, are you still getting queues in them?
Yeah, it's definitely settled down, which we knew it would, but like I think we did need it to because it wasn't sustainable. So we always do the first customer free. So if you arrive there first, so we do regularly get people arriving at 8 a.m. and sticking a chair outside and just sitting until 11:30. We actually employed young Oscar, one of the boys, one of our staff. He arrived, I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning,
chair.
Full camping chair, flask, and he sat there. And I arrived to drop the potatoes off, and he started helping me move the potatoes into the shop. Next minute, he was working for us. He's an absolute legend. Big shout out to Oscar, man.
Brilliant.
So it's been so much fun. It's been really exciting, really enjoyable.
Something different
For Ayr. It's brought so many people to the town as well. It's been exciting. It's been good fun.
It has been. The social medias are good fun as well, getting involved with that kind of side of things as well.
So looking at previous concepts and the places that you've worked before to what you've got now, clearly very similar but completely different end product with similar concept. Are you trying to get that grouped kind of enterprise where you've got the kind of the holdings company, so to speak, with the different brand offshoots which potentially will expand across different areas to be able to get that reward with the groups as a whole?
100%. So that was obviously Tempura will always be our sort of baby and our flagship, but I think we always knew that we would go on to do other things. So obviously Spudbuds scalable like Tempura? Personally, I don't think it is. I think, as you can see now, there's a baked potato shop opening every week somewhere. I think it is fantastic, but I think that one Spudbuds is probably enough for us and in Ayr, because as I say, if you went to Glasgow, there's just another 20 that'll be open next week, and only the strongest will survive.
And I think that was one of the things that I've heard you say now on a few different occasions in the interview, and probably from your apprenticeship, so to speak, and growing up in the hospitality industry. As much as there's days that you're queued out the door and things, I think when you're as busy as that, there's certain things can slip, and your quality, your customer service, but having it instilled in you that, see, to be honest, if I can't sell any more than 1,000, then I'm not going to rush something out the door. Even at Tempura and Ayr, when you've got 30 people seated, I'm not going to give an inferior product out. And you've sticking with that mantra obviously mean that you don't have people coming in, and of course you're never going to please everyone, but you don't have people coming in general and going, the food quality isn't the standard. And I think that's something that within business, and I've spoken to various other businesses, and regardless whether it's hospitality, whether it's just a completely different business, it's having that vision and sticking to your morals no matter how it goes, to then being able to succeed to where you are today.
Spot on. You've nailed it, because we've always said, we've absolutely nailed it, we've always said that it's quality over quantity, and that is what our ethos our ethos has always been, is like, we could squeeze more takeaway orders in Tempura if we wanted to. So instead of doing 4 every 10, we could open to 10 every 10, and we would get 10 every 10. But we would be flinging the food out, we would be chucking it together, and we'd be serving an inferior product. We would make more money, we would, but we would not be able to sustain the reputation we have and grow the way that we have.
The longevity of the brand.
100%. And so that is what we're all about. Obviously, we're in business to make money and to be busy, but there is a fine balance between making sure you make enough money to run a business, but also ensuring that you provide, the quality.
An unbelievable story of what has gone from Tempura to Spudbuds, and really looking forward to seeing how it progresses. So we've heard about the listeners' tenner bargain of the week, but up next I'm looking for you guys to let me know what your bargain of the week is, plus finding out what drives you to give back locally.
This is Elliot Boyce.
And this is Ayrshire Insights.
Now it's time to talk community, charity and Ayrshire pride, but before we do that, we would like the listeners have been in touch with us and let us know what their weekly bargain is. So the question is with you, what is your bargain of the week that you've got for a tenner or less?
Mark, you got to go first on this
I
one.
reckon I could chime in here. Tesco Express, kilo of cherries. £5, Elliot.
A
You can
£5?
actually get 2 kilos if you.
What do you do with a
I'm
kilo
not
of
sure.
cherries?
I don't know. Well, you could have 2 kilo for a tenner.
What do you do with
That is
2
a
kilos of
bargain.
cherries?
You could ration that.
What have
I
you been
think.
doing with your cherries?
I have been eating spitting the seeds at folks.
Yeah.
No, I have been eating cherries.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Honestly, it's quite a go-to snickery snack every now and again. You open the fridge, you forget you've got a gigantic crate of cherries in there. I think it's been in there for 2 or 3 days. We're probably still working with 900 grams.
Yeah.
I'm finding it bizarre that I've just seen launched on
Brandon just
Tempura's
put it on,
Facebook page.
Tempura cherries.
The cherry
Cherries.
tempura.
For me, what could I go for? A couple of things. I absolutely love an ice lolly, as you know, Mark. Tesco's are doing a cracking deal. You get 3 boxes of those delicious, what they called?
Rockets.
Yeah, but there's a brand.
Rockets.
Roundtrees.
Roundtrees. Fruit pastels,
that's the ones,
They're
man.
not
That's the one.
rockets.
No, I didn't say. You said they were rockets.
I know,
Anyway,
you're
3.
implied they were
You
rockets.
definitely get 3 of
Couple of
them.
rockets
You get
right
3
here.
packets of them for less than a tenner. And myself and my kids absolutely love an ice lolly, man.
I have to say, we used to there. I'm clearly looking. There must be a couple of club card members with the way you both
Oh
are going.
God, God, yeah, absolutely. Actually, disclaimer there, I'm not sure if your average buyer can access the kilo of cherries for a £5. You may need to be a club card holder.
Yeah.
I can help you register your card there, folks.
There we go, an advert. And there is other supermarkets out there as well, and other shops and everything. Just
Who knows what
You can
weight
also
quantities they're doing.
get a baked potato and a can of juice at Spudbuds for less than a tenner. Just in case you didn't know that.
There you are.
Well, and other potato shops.
And no, you can't do that.
I've also we do finishing touches, spring onions, crispy onions, and now fresh cherries.
There we go. It is all happening at Spudbuds. So, we've got our bargain of the week. The listeners were in touch earlier letting us know their bargain of the week, but now it's time to talk the community, charity and Ayrshire pride. So I've been asking all of my guests this. Why support local causes like us here at Now Ayrshire Radio?
I think obviously we started in Ayrshire. We both live in Ayrshire. We both live in Prestwick. And we worked in Ayrshire for a long time, and I think when we opened, it was actually absolutely incredible how much the community supported us to start this new business at a very challenging time, and the amazing support we had. And as we've grown and opened more businesses and become more established, we've always seen it, thought it's very, very important to help other local businesses. Again, going on the social media, we use our social media to promote a lot of other local businesses because we can reach millions of people sometimes.
Amazing for what you've done with Ayrshire, and our kind of favourite phrase in here is that local feeling. So being what has to be a kind of sole Ayrshire business that you've built around Ayrshire, what does that local feeling mean to you?
What does that local feeling mean to you? There's a good question. I think everything that Brandon just kind of touched on is really important there. It means local. It means from the ground up, I think. And I think it means networking and supporting people around you, where you can, I think, ultimately help each other grow around you. For example, like Brandon's saying there, I personally don't think you see that a lot in local businesses where they are then, we were just out for breakfast this morning and we were straight onto Facebook. That breakfast was 10 out of 10 and here we were at the Clock Tower Cafe. It was fantastic, absolutely amazing breakfast. And as Brandon's saying, we pump that on social media and it hits 50,000 people like that, and then that helps the Clock Tower, but then that also helps everywhere around it, and people are coming to Auchincruive and things like that. So
yeah, we do. I definitely believe both of our brands are very Ayrshire now. sort of they will always be from Ayrshire, whether we expand them out with Ayrshire or not.
South African?
Well, you never know. Obviously, the theme, if anyone's ever been in tempura, is a very weird combination of Asian and African, because tempura is obviously traditionally Japanese and I'm South African, so that's kind of where the concept came from. But yeah, I think we're very involved in the local communities. We're doing a special today, actually, that will be involved with a local dance school. We out next week at Kyle Academy chatting at an awards ceremony. We do go to lots of schools and do talks. We heavily involved with local charities. Last year we donated £35,000 to charity.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to give back, because without the local community, we just simply wouldn't be where we are today.
And it's interesting you said there about us being so involved. I think that is important to note. When people are coming to Tempura Spudbuds, it's not like they'll probably see us. We're there. It's not going to some random person that nobody knows or whatever's happening there. I actually had a customer come in for a Spudbuds and they were ordering while their partner was down at Tempura ordering, and I don't know if she knew who I was in that moment, but I said to her, I genuinely appreciate that. Thanks so much for supporting so locally,
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. It is amazing,
The people of Ayrshire's helped you as well, and that,
Yeah,
and it's been that community.
Massively.
Now, making an impact locally, I think one of the things that most people, when you talk Spudbuds, is seen online. And I do see people coming up and going, I'm going to run from this beach to there, can I get a free potato? Now, how has your business made an impact locally? So has it been bringing people from far and wide? What's the furthest customer you've had?
I mean, we have had queues out the door every day, and a lot of comments on social media. People are saying is the busiest they've seen the town in years, or certainly that part of the town, because people are travelling ridiculous distances. I mean, Daly is Edinburgh and Glasgow. That's not far away anymore. I mean, we obviously have a leaderboard for the person who has travelled the furthest. Obviously, it started off with you need to prove that you've only come here for a baked potato, because a lot of people be on holiday from somewhere and obviously say that they've been that distance. But at the moment, we were if you're from a different country and you've come all the way, then absolutely. So I think at the moment it's Perth. It's 10,000 miles is the current.
Western Australia. No, somebody from Adelaide.
Yeah, Adelaide. That's where it is.
But that's where the old air quotes come in.
Yeah.
Where they over. I mean, that return flight.
It does seem like a massive investment for people to
talk about supporting not locally. That is.
But it's
surely there's a potato shop in Adelaide.
It's a bit of fun. So we've had people definitely travel from all over the country, which has been really, really nice. And it certainly just helps the area. I think they're definitely going into other places and passing other businesses and seeing other things. So.
Yeah.
So we talk charity. What you mentioned the 35k in just in the past year that you've donated to local charities. What's been kind of big charities that you've been involved with and what you've supported?
So what we tend to do every year is we get a huge amount of requests. I mean, sometimes we'll get 20 a week for donations to charities, to raffles, to sports groups, etc. And obviously we can't help everyone. So what we tend to do is we get the staff to vote for 3 charities for every 6 months. So charities that are close to their heart, we pick the top 3, and then for those 6 months we do everything we can for those charities. Personal charity to me is a charity called Harbour, Ayrshire, because I'm in recovery myself and I'm very open about that. I posted a video about it last year actually, and I'm just coming up to 2 years of being sober from alcohol pretty soon. And Harbour were a massive help for me. So I personally do a lot of work for Harbour. Mark's mom is, what is your mom's position now? She is...
that is a question.
It changes all the time.
If you're listening, I believe I'm going to say head of nursing
and neonatal
Ayrshire and Arran. She kind of ran the neonatal unit, I believe, at Cross House, and is now also over in Cross House Hospital looking after gynecology and paediatrics, I believe. There's quite an all-encompassing role there, but
So
more so the kind of neonatal side of things.
We've raised quite a lot of money for them, and then the other one that's sort of quite close to my heart is my son Elliot, my 9-year-old son. He has quite complex additional support needs, goes to an amazing local school called South Craigs, and we are one of my wife's friends, Kira, she runs a group called Spotty Zebras, and they are an amazing charity that help just do events for kids with additional support needs, and Elliot's involved in that, so we have done a bit of work for them. So I think we're very big on helping whoever we can, and those are probably the three main ones I would say that we've helped most recently.
Amazing to hear back what you've given back, not just locally but also to charities, and to hear the backstory and the journey that you've been on, and whilst going through that journey and also keeping up with such a large business that is forever growing. Congratulations to you and to both of you for going through that journey, and also for getting where you are today. So we are going to finish strong with a fun round and find out what's next for Brandon and Mark just after this.
Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire.
If you've just tuned in, I'm with Brandon van Rensburg and Mark Blake, the men behind the Tempura chain and Spudbuds. It's now time for 5 fast ones. So guys, I'm going to spice this up a little bit, right? So 5 fast ones, as you know, because you listen every Sunday to the interviews on Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce, we play the game called 5 fast ones, where I've normally got one guest in. I ask him or her 5 quick fire questions to see the little bit about them that's what's happened to them. So it's straight out the cuff and what it is. However, there's 2 of you today, right? Okay. And rather than boring the listener with 10 different answers, I think we could spice this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to flip a coin, right? And I'm going to pick one of you. Well, the coin is going to pick what one it's going to be. One of you is going to go out, and the other person has got to answer the 5 fast ones as if they were that person. Okay. And then we'll get them in, right? So, heads or tails?
I'll go heads.
I'll go tails then, naturally. Elliot just pointed at me there for all you listeners. What would have happened if
thank goodness. Heads? If that was heads, we'd be here all day. Right, heads or tails? Right, we're going to flip the coin.
Is it heads?
Oh, it's heads.
Yeah. It's heads. Mark,
I'm going to leave.
Get out of the
leave
room,
it to
please.
Brandon.
Okay, so
that
I'm
probably
going to...
works better. He's good at a quick one.
Right, on you go. Out of the room. Right, the door is shut, the soundproofing's round it, and I can confirm that he has left the room. Okay, so are you ready for 5 fast ones? As if, and what you think the 5 fast ones would be for Mark?
Oh wow, okay, I'm going to do my best, Joe.
Right, okay, so let's go. Favourite takeaway?
Literally anything. He loves his food. But I would go pizza, but yeah, loves takeaways.
So he loves pizza. Yeah. Songs that always lifts his mood. A song that lifts his mood. What do you think?
Probably YMCA.
The best thing about Ayrshire?
Best thing about Ayrshire, Mark would say the best thing about Ayrshire is the people in the countryside.
Weirdest moment he's ever had at work?
Oh man, there are so many. Usually him arriving at work and me giving him some random costume to put on and then making a video. But I'd say Leotard Larry going to a primary school was probably up there.
So he went to a primary school as Leotard Larry?
Dressed as a Leotard Larry and did some gymnastics.
Brilliant. And the last one, who would play Mark in a movie of his life?
Oh man, it's going to have to be some sort of comedy actor, that's for sure. Probably somebody like Eddie Murphy or Jack Black came to mind there.
So we're going, what do you think, Eddie Murphy or Jack Black?
Let's go Eddie Murphy.
Okay, right, I'm going to go and get Mark in just now and we'll get him back. So Mark, can you join us? Oh, right, there we go, Mark. He's back in. So we've just played 5 fast ones and Brandon has answered the questions for you.
That was quick.
That was, alright.
Not much to say about you.
So, what do you so you've got to tell me what you think and see if he answered the same. So
what I think,
about you.
I'm telling you what I genuinely believe or what I think he said that.
No, what you genuinely believe,
okay.
I think.
Got it.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a bit of both.
Yeah, a bit of both. Right, so
what do you think?
Your favourite takeaway?
Pizza. I reckon you'd have got that.
Yes. Yeah. Correct, you got that one, right.
Well done.
I actually said any food, particularly pizza.
Yeah. I'll give you pizza, so you got 1 point, right?
Yep.
A song that always lifts your mood.
Jeremy Loops.
No, I didn't catch it. YMCA.
So, there we go. So, you've only got 1 point, so
I won it.
The YMCA, right. The next one,
That's the one that I listened to at home.
What would Mark say the best thing about Ayrshire is?
What do you think?
The community.
Oh, I think that's half a point
do you
at
know
least.
what? I'll give you the point,
What did
right?
you say?
People in countryside.
Yeah, the people are. Yeah, that's
like
pretty
your-
good.
you
yeah.
like your Aunt
I actually
Rosie
thought
things.
about the beaches and things there, but I never said it.
I knew what you were thinking.
Yeah.
What is Mark's weirdest moment at work?
Maybe turning up to school with a leotard on.
Yes! That's exactly what I said.
And just to clarify, sorry, hold on. That's enough. It's one word answer.
No, can I just clarify?
It's done. It's done.
No, I just want to clarify to all the listeners out there that neither Brandon or I, in that moment, thought that was weird at all, and then all you folks started saying it was a bit weird. It's shame on you out there.
So leotard Larry.
Leotard Larry at a primary
I'm
school
glad you got
gymnastics
that one.
session.
So I'm going to give you the point for that.
Yeah, well done, Brandon.
Last one. Who plays Mark in a movie of his life?
Oh, it's got to be somebody handsome. I'm gonna say, unfortunately, the name that comes to mind here, because I know you, Brandon, is Mark's biggest fan here. I'm gonna say you said Jim Carrey.
No, but
Eddie Murphy.
I knew it had to be a comedy. Yeah, but
Brandon picked for me there.
Jim Carrey was perfect.
Jim Carrey.
Well, there we go. You managed to get 3 out of 5, which
That's
by
right,
the way is
yeah,
alright.
that's right, yeah.
So-
Good numbers.
Well done. Well done.
Thanks for playing 5 Fast Buns. We're going to be asking our guests every week to get involved and probably never like this again. So, lastly, we want to find out what's up next. So, what's next for you and your business?
So there's always something next. Mark tends to find out when I give him a set of keys and say, "Guess what's happening." So yeah,
we're in the same shoes.
Oh, we are wearing the same shoes. Oh, hold on, yeah. So the reason why Mark and I work so well together is because we're very, very different people. We're very different, but we have the same morals and we have the same. I suppose we want to achieve the same things. So Mark's very good at the operations side of the business, the customer side of it, and I focus more on the back of house and growing the business, and that's why this works so well together. So yeah, definitely more venues on the horizon. We've actually looked at one very recently outside of Ayrshire for the first time. Not confirmed yet, but something coming in the pipelines. And yeah, I would hope to say we would have another 1 to 2 venues open this year if we can. But our production kitchen in Prestwick is opening next week, where that's going to be a bit of a game changer with a new head office. And yeah, so definitely expansion on the cards.
Yep, and I would just like a breather. I would like Brandon to
day
slow
off?
down,
A holiday?
relax. Another holiday. No, I'm only kidding.
Mark's on holiday more than he's at work these days.
No, I was going to say...
There was no denial there.
No, absolutely. Well, that's what you do it for, isn't it? No, I agree totally. I would still say, personally, if I was to get a wee bit more specific, there's a tempura in North Ayrshire. We've been wanting to do that for a couple of years now, and it's just never quite come into fruition.
We definitely want to open a tempura in Irvine or Kilwinning, and we have put an offer in for 2 venues, and both times we thought it was going ahead, and out with our control, it didn't. So if anyone has a venue in North Ayrshire that want to sell us, give us a call.
And also, I think, just to touch on what you were chatting about earlier with different sprouting ideas, I do feel like, while at the time when Brandon had mentioned opening a baked potato shop, and I was like, you're mental. I think it has shown us that we've got a bit of a platform to build from now. Maybe we have a good social media presence, and we have a bit of fun, and we have a bit of banter, and I'd like to say it's maybe opened the doors to some different concepts. So I think maybe something different as well would be exciting, whether that's an eatery,
Cherries.
maybe a cherry shop, cherry pickers,
A potato farm, chicken farm.
chicken farm, cherry pickers. No, something a wee bit different that's maybe not tempura or Spudbuds, and is another
Definitely.
idea.
Well, I look forward to finding out whatever the creative masterclass comes out with and what you eventually work out. So you've got tempura, you've got Spudbuds. It'll be interesting what happens next. Then lastly, what's one thing that you hope for Ayrshire's future?
See, for me, like we've opened a number of successful businesses in Ayrshire, and I feel like there's a lot of negativity you see online about like Town Centre's dying, there's no shops, nobody wants. I'm like, everywhere we've opened's done all right, and like people need to understand that you can open a business in Ayrshire and it can be a successful business, and we need more businesses to open in Ayrshire. So I hope that like more businesses will open and more good businesses. There's so many fantastic hospitality businesses in particular in Ayrshire, that are going from strength to strength, and let's support each other and get some more of these closed shops open.
Totally agree, and I hope that people listening and who maybe are listening out with Ayrshire on the app and other platforms might hear this, hear the podcast that comes off the back of this, and people are then able to see that there is a thriving success potential in Ayrshire.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of strong Ayrshire businesses that are going from strength to strength. Now guys, what a great laugh I've had, really enjoyed this today, but have you got any final shout outs and thanks to give?
I think you probably have a couple of apologies to make.
I'll apologise to the dragon, the good lady, but on a real one there, that's
Yeah.
probably an ample time to come in and probably thank our good ladies and partners and families in general for
We
supporting us.
could
well.
not have done it without them. You know, for me, I've got 3 young children, Reva, Elliot and Charlie. Hello.
Just to clarify, not me.
Not you,
No,
not you.
just checking.
I mean, a lot of people think I have 4 children, the other one being called Mark. But, you know, without our partners, without my wife Rachel, you know, I definitely wouldn't have been able to put as much effort in to growing this business while she's, you know, keeping the home together and looking after my mental children. So, yeah, definitely families.
Brilliant. Guys, an amazing time today. Really enjoyed having you on, and really great story from start to finish, from going from working in hospitality to Tempura, growing Tempura to a great level with plans for expansion as you move forward, and also Spudbuds. Brandon Van Rensburg and Mark Blake, thank you very much for coming along on the show today.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much,
having
Elliot.
us.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and well done for getting my name right.
I know I've been practicing.
Very well done for getting mine right.
No problem, Mark Blake.
Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire.